success is something that goes beyond just the individual accomplishment. I want to create and build something that I can share with my kids, with my community. It should be bigger, more than just accolades, milestones, and what we're looking to build with Pealet Pte, we're hoping to be able to bring it to the world. Hi, my name is Shi Qin and I run Pealet Pte with my husband. So Pealet Pte is actually a proudly made in Singapore kids food brand, and for us, we're on a mission to plant a lifelong love of healthy food in kiddos everywhere. So our first range was actually started with a range of dietitian-approved cooking sauces and jams. This is inspired by our love of Asian flavors and cultures, and we designed it for fast-free meal times, not just for moms, but also for the kids. So I'm very surprised to have been awarded in 2 categories, and also very grateful and happy. So as we know, kids' food generally falls under the radar, right? Because they're a much smaller segment compared to adults, or even say consumers who have special dietary needs due to medical reasons, for example. So I think for us to have been awarded these 2 awards in the category of kids' food is something that's very special. So I have 3 kids. Our firstborn, Ollie, was a fantastic eater, but when he started going to preschool, he actually started getting constipated. So Irvin, my husband, he's actually our resident master chef. He started experimenting with recipes to introduce more veggies and fruits in delicious way, and obviously we had to make it fun. So this eventually became our official philosophy at Pealet Pte, where we talk about feeding the senses. It's important to not just create yummy food for kids, but also ensure that the entire experience is exciting, it's fun for them, and that builds a memorable lifetime of happy eating experiences. I think something that me and Irvin always joke about or talk about is the fact that we're helping families raise healthy, happy eaters. Even 2 years after running the business, we still get very excited when parents tell us that, oh, my kid loves your food. Especially those parents that have picky eaters, it can be really overwhelming, whether it's first-time moms, time-pressed moms. And to us, we feel that meal times should be enjoyable. It's a time for bonding and relaxing, to spend time with the family after work and things like that. Recently, we also had a mom who told us that her son actually has a rare medical condition since birth. He's very sensitive to food and he's also fed through a feeding tube. However, she found that our spiced pumpkin and corn sauce was something that he really liked, and it was just something that was very heartwarming. I think for us, or for me as a mom, it's incredibly difficult if your kid is suffering from a medical condition, and the fact that we were able to produce something that made that a little bit better was something that was very meaningful to us. So I think for me, success is something that goes beyond just the individual accomplishment. I want to create and build something that I can share with my kids, with my community. It should be bigger, more than just accolades, milestones, and what we're looking to build with Pealet Pte, we're hoping to be able to bring it to the world. So family time is extremely important to my husband and I. We have 3 kids, so no matter how busy, we make it a point to spend ample time with the kids. To us, they won't be little for long, and time with them being part of the moments, whether is it like, storytelling, their first concert, first performance in school, is something that we feel we cannot get back. So as a reminder to ourselves, we're always thinking of how we can spend time reminding ourselves to be present with them and not just being preoccupied at work. Yes, I would say I'm actually quite adventurous. I'm probably up for almost anything. I've done bungee jumping before. So one incident is maybe not an entrepreneurial journey per se, but at the start when we were experimenting with Pealet Pte sauces and jams, we actually packed the kids up. They were 1 and 3 at that time. We booked flights to Sri Lanka and we left 3 days later. So we didn't really think too much about the logistics of feeding our kids along the way. So we just brought along our sauces and jams. We were experimenting with it then, and off we went. So some of the really memorable times we had on the trip was we actually had a barbecue in the middle of a farm. We got attacked by leeches, we had to start a fire, we used banana leaf and cooked a fish. We also stayed in a guest house along the fringes of a national reserve. So in the morning we would see elephants roaming freely in the morning along the riverbank. So it made for a really special experience, and we have photos of our very initial product prototype against this kind of incredible backdrop. On a deserted island, I probably won't bother with any tech devices because there's no charging and no electricity anyway. So I would say I'll probably bring along my kids. They'll be highly entertaining, we'll make an adventure out of it. And then I'll probably bring my husband along. He's good at cooking and foraging, he's very creative. So eventually that will probably help us get off the island. And I think lastly, practically, we'll probably bring a tent so we at least have a roof over our head. So I think for my own personal comfort zone, sometimes ideas that are too wild, too out there, it does take me a while to wrap my head around it. I think having grown up in the Singapore education system, I am pretty conventional to a certain extent. And of course, being in Singapore, it does represent a very unique market compared to many other markets because of our geographic situation and also I think the way our governance locally is. So usually when I'm presented with such situations where we come up with, exciting ideas, then I'll go into a research and brainstorm kind of phase. So I'll look at many different possibilities from overseas, different ideas that people have tried, and I remind myself not to be closed off to anything. And over time, we always figure that rather than just planning and planning and planning, sometimes the best way to validate an idea is actually to experiment. So we set up rapid, small iterations to try and test the idea, and very quickly that helps us see whether or not this is a viable idea and we can suss out and differentiate which is crazy and which isn't. So I think being in a kids' food business is something that's quite meaningful. For us, it's very personal because we have kids of our own. Also, I think growing up, having had our own experiences which help us be exposed to vulnerable communities, people from different backgrounds. One of the issues that we are extremely aware of is the idea of hidden hunger and the fact that unhealthy diets can be a vicious cycle that goes over and over again across generations. So sometimes it stems from lack of access, sometimes it stems from lack of education. And this is something that I think we are hoping to be able to change, where healthy food or good diets is not something that's only accessible to a certain segment of the community, but it's something that we wish to make commonplace for everyone, everywhere. I think for entrepreneurs who are on a certain journey of wanting to do good, the most important thing is to remember that it is ultimately still about the community that you're serving, and along the way, it doesn't need to be an individual journey. You can look for other organizations, other partners that will help you remember what you want to do and how to get there.